interesting. Let's speak now to Paul Richards, former Labour Special Advisor. Paul, you should know about the inner workings of the Blair government. Thank you for joining me on this. Are you surprised that aides to Tony Blair were looking at such radical measures, using the Isle of Mull in Scotland as some kind of detention centre?
I'm not surprised at all, because the Blair government was a very radical government, and Tony Blair was a free thinker, somebody who invited all kinds of different points of view before he made his mind up. I mean, he was very good at taking advice from a plurality of sources and then coming to his own settled view. So local officials were invited to come up with wacky ideas, and they were put through this kind of brainstorming process that we see from the papers that have been released this week. But I suppose the crucial difference is that he then ruled out the idea of using an offshore island, even the Isle of Mull, to do this, and introduced other measures which did reduce illegal claims, and also got the asylum claims right down to a low by 2010, actually. But these are kind of ideas that percolate through the central government.
Do you find it interesting that, of course, the Conservative government are getting so much flack and criticism over the Rwanda plan, yet it was under Tony Blair that aides were asking the question whether we need an asylum system at all?
Well, the crucial difference is that the wacky ideas that were being discussed inside government did not then become the centrepiece of a governing strategy, as it has with Rishi Sunak. He has gone with the wacky idea, and he has put his entire reputation and the reputation of his government on this Rwanda plan, which is why it's coming under such criticism. So I think the difference is, on the one hand, have a really big, free-ranging discussion. No idea is a bad idea. That's the nature of a brainstorm. But then come up with sensible solutions. And he's decided not to have a sensible solution, but have the Rwanda plan instead. And he's now been hoisted by his own petard.
Now, you know a lot about press relations. So should Keir Starmer ignore this, or should he respond in one way or another?
Well, this is a historical document. I mean, this is going back 20-odd years. I think Starmer learns lessons of previous governments, whether it's from right or left, but he's his own man, and he'll just move forward with what's going to work now and in the future. I think, the history is always interesting, but you can't aim to repeat it, and you can't necessarily just copy it and hope for the same results. So I think, he'll be his own man on this one. Well,
it's quite timely, though, the release of these documents at a time when this issue is so salient.
It is. I mean, this is obviously part of a number of papers that are released after 20 years, and there's all kinds of other much duller stuff being released as well. But these are the things we highlight on the idea of basically Ballamore, isn't it, being used as a asylum centre. It's very eye-catching. You can see why in this dull period between Christmas and New Year, people are lighting on it with interest. But, let's not forget, it never got off the ground. It wasn't actually a serious proposal that got anywhere. It was just a series of memos after a brainstorming meeting, which Blair then said, yes, we need to do something radical, but this is not it.
And would you agree that Labour's press operation lost all credibility because of Alastair Campbell's spin?
No, I have the exact opposite view. I think Alastair Campbell introduced the professionalism into government communications, taking into account the changes in media that were taking place in that period, and tried to make it far more proactive and getting ahead of the game. Before that, it was incredibly reactive, bunging out a press release once a week that most people ignored.
I think a lot of people remember Alastair Campbell, and still to this day, for his spin. That is certainly true. Why do you think Lord Hayward said this if it's not true?
Well, I think it was the clash between the political and the civil service. The civil service doesn't like particularly great change or a kind of radical approach to government. It likes steady as she goes. We know that from history. And I think that was the classic clash. Let's forget, Alastair Campbell actually instigated the sacking of quite a few heads of communications across government departments while I was there as well. The civil service did not like Alastair Campbell, but that's because he was trying to do something different and radical and professionalise the communications in a way which actually is a good thing.
Well, he was certainly a force to be reckoned with. Thank you very much indeed for your time, Paul Richards, former Labour Special Advisor. Well, what do you make to that? Let me know. gbviews@gbnews.com.